I've fallen in love with someone who isn't you, and I don't want my son anymore."
These shocking words came from my husband, William, who had always boasted about being a hands-on dad. I was stunned and astonished, but he just kept coming up with inexplicable excuses. My mother-in-law, noticing my silence, did not even admonish my husband. Instead, she turned to me, cold and unwavering, and said,
"Get a divorce. Leave this house immediately."
She was ready to cast out not just me but my kid as well. In the midst of this turmoil, I was reminded that for every hardship, there's a glimmer of hope, a helping hand waiting to lift me up. My name is Barbara, and I am a stay-at-home mom with a 6-year-old child. My husband, William, works in a family-owned business with his parents. It's a small company, but they seem to be always busy, often returning home past 8 p.m. I met William during my early career days, after graduating from college. It was at a mixer party, where a friend begged me to come along because they were short on women. Ironically, William was there for a similar reason: they were short on men. We were both there just to fill numbers, which strangely took the pressure off, making it easier for us to connect. While the other partygoers were getting excited about heading to a second location, I decided to leave, thinking I had served my role. Surprisingly, William, also a filler like me, chose not to join the after-party and instead headed home. We ended up walking together to the nearby station, sharing light-hearted banter about the evening. It was easy talking to him, with neither of us feeling the need to impress the other. As we parted ways at the train, he asked for my contact detail. I enjoyed talking to him so much that I gladly exchanged contact information with him. Our casual friendship blossomed from there, and before we knew it, we were dating. After 2 years of a loving relationship, we decided to tie the knot. Everything felt perfect. William and I had a great relationship, and his parents welcomed me with open arms when I first met them. I had lost my parents in an accident shortly after starting my career, and when William's parents heard about it, they were incredibly supportive, telling me to think of them as my second parents. Our life together seemed like a dream. Little did I know, it was about to take a turn I never expected. After getting married to William, I found myself getting involved in the family business he and his parents were running, leading us to embark on a life in a 2-family household with them. This new chapter was not just about living together. It was an opportunity to forge a deeper bond with my in-laws, who were also integral to our joint business venture. At first, I braced myself for the expectation of contributing to the business, but William had other thoughts. He said to me,
"Barbara, you married into this family, and I don't want to burden you with work. Just being there waiting for us at home is more than enough."
His words assigned me a new role, that of a devoted homemaker, dedicating myself to the well-being of our household without the pressures of external work. Adhering to this new role, my days morphed into a series of routines, eagerly awaiting the return of my in-laws and husband from their daily endeavors. A year into this harmonious marital journey, our lives were graced by the arrival of a vibrant baby boy. We named him Noah, a beacon of new happiness and a source of boundless energy in our household. Life seemed to be cruising along seamlessly, surrounded by a gentle and caring husband, supportive in-laws, and a charming son. My heart was filled with gratitude. I embraced my identity as a member of this loving family, nurturing the bonds that tied us together. In my heart, I was convinced that this path would lead me to enduring happiness. Amidst these blissful times, there lurked an impending event, a twist of fate unbeknownst to me, poised to steer our lives onto a path of unexpected turns and challenges. My feelings of discomfort with my life at my in-laws started in an unexpected place at a reunion of my middle school friends. Heading back to my hometown for the event, I was filled with excitement at the prospect of reuniting with old friends, people with whom I had shared countless childhood memories. As we delved into tales of the past, The air was thick with laughter and nostalgia. Amidst this warm ambience, Stefan, a childhood friend who had been my neighbor since birth until my parents passed away, approached me. Our relationship had always been akin to that of siblings, and we still occasionally kept in touch, a bond of trust and familiarity between us. In the midst of our conversation, Stefan casually inquired,
Barbara, the family you married into, they run their own business, right? What was the company's name again?
I remembered talking to my husband, William, about inviting Stefan to our wedding. I had explained to William, Stefan and I grew up like siblings, without any romantic feelings. He knew my parents well, and I really want him to be there on our big day, to which William had kindly responded,
If he's important to you, Barbara, he's important to me as well.
Prior to our wedding, William and Stefan had a chance to meet in the groom's waiting room, where they both seemed to have formed a positive impression of each other. When I mentioned the name of the company run by William's parents to Stefan, he uttered a thoughtful,
I see,
and fell into deep contemplation, resting his chin on his hand. His expression carried a sense of revelation mixed with a tangle of complicated feelings. What's going on? Is there something about my family's company that's bothering you? I asked Stefan, but he simply shook his head and answered,
No, it was just something I was curious about. I don't think it's anything for Barbara to worry about.
He didn't elaborate on what had piqued his interest, leaving me with an unsettled feeling. During the reunion, as lively and engaging as it was, I attempted to probe further, but our conversation was continuously interrupted by other classmates, preventing any in-depth discussion about my family's business. The reunion itself was a delightful affair, but as I lay in bed that night, Stefan's vague comments haunted me. Knowing that he works as a management consultant, his words triggered worries in me. Could there be underlying issues with the family business run by my husband William and my in-laws that I wasn't aware of? Since I embraced my role as a homemaker, I hadn't been actively involved or concerned about business affairs. But now, Stefan's inquiry led me to wonder if there were potential problems like financial instability. Lying awake, my mind was racing with all sorts of thoughts and concerns. The following morning, my weariness was evident enough for my son Noah to notice. He looked at me with concern and asked,
Mom, are you okay?
I assured him that I was fine, but internally, I was making a firm decision to be more observant. This incident marked a turning point where I began to perceive subtle changes in the attitudes of William and my in-laws, changes that I hadn't noticed before, a shift from how things were at the beginning of our marriage. At the start of our marriage, William and I settled into a two-family house, with us in the smaller unit and my in-laws Betty and Richard in the main part. Though we lived under the same roof, each household managed its chores independently. Cooking, laundry, and cleaning were all separate. Initially, Betty seemed somewhat relieved not having to do chores for William anymore. However, 3 years into our marriage, Betty's calls during my work hours became more frequent, asking,
Hello, Barbara? I'm really tired today. Could you handle dinner tonight?
I initially welcomed the task, sympathizing with her juggling work and household duties. But gradually, her requests for me to prepare dinner increased, eventually becoming a routine on weekdays. Then I thought there was no need to separate the parent household and us to eat separately. However, Barbara stubbornly refused to sit at the table with us, saying,
The table feels too small, so you guys eat on your side.
It was cumbersome to prepare additional pots for their household, and gradually, Betty's expressions of gratitude ceased. Reflecting on this, I started to sense something was off. I had been preoccupied with childcare and housework, naively believing in the kindness of my in-laws, and that it equated to a happy family life. However, once doubts crept in, several incidents began to seem suspicious. Example, William consistently came home later than his parents. When I inquired about it, they would vaguely mention,
William has specific tasks that only he can handle.
but never provided any concrete details. Since this year began, I've noticed that William often comes home separately from his parents, and sometimes he returns well past midnight. What really strikes me as odd is when William's relatives and friends occasionally visit us, they all uniformly comment,
William is such an engaged father, Barbara. You're so fortunate.
"True, William has always shown affection towards our son Noah, and he would sometimes take over the bottle feeding when Noah was an infant. On weekends, he would play with Noah, supposedly giving me a break from my duties. Yet, William's involvement feels merely superficial. It was always me who prepared the milk, and whenever Noah cried while I was busy with chores, William never stepped in to change his diaper, make his milk, or comfort him. He would simply call out for me to handle it. Nowadays, it's me who purchases what Noah needs, assists him with his studies, and teaches him to clean up. William, after playing, would just leave everything as it is, instructing Noah to tidy up and then turning his attention to his smartphone. This hardly aligns with the image of a hands-on dad. Intrigued, I subtly asked one of William's relatives during a weekend visit, "How did you know about William being so involved in childcare?" They showed me William's social media posts, which painted a picture of him as the primary caretaker with captions like,
"Dad's duty to play with the kid. Boys bond better."
and
"Mom is busy with house chores again today."
these posts nearly suggested I wasn't participating in parenting at all. Despite feeling irked by this portrayal, I couldn't help but feel a sense of alarm at the facade he was maintaining on social media. The reason why I started to fear William's social media presence was because of a post he made on a night he returned home late. His post boasted about having dinner with our son Noah, describing how adorable he looked with breadcrumb on his mouth. However, in reality, William wasn't home at that time. Once, when William's relatives visited, they casually remarked,
Barbara, I know you're busy with house chores, but you've got to keep an eye on the child too.
laughing as they said it. I couldn't muster a laugh. My mind was far from finding any humor. Why is he posting about having dinner with Noah when he didn't return until after midnight? It's unsettling, I muttered under my breath. Hearing my comment, the relative who showed me William's social media seemed taken aback. Unable to bear staying in the house, I took Noah and headed to the nearby supermarket, feeling like I would lose my mind if I stayed. About a month later, William called me to the main family side of the house. There sat his parents, Betty and Richard, with stern faces, while William wore a smug smile. Confused by their contrasting expressions, I sat down. William began,
"What I'm about to say might sound harsh, but I've made my decision. I've fallen in love with someone else. I don't need the child either."
"Someone else?" I echoed, shocked.
"Yes,
William continued with an almost joyous tone.
like you have a childhood friend, I have one too. She had been living abroad married, but now she's divorced and back in Japan. We reconnected recently, and I realized I want to marry her."
Throughout the conversation, William's face radiated happiness, leaving me completely baffled. "Wait, so you've always loved this other woman, but you married me?" I asked, trying to grasp the situation.
"Well, she was abroad and married at the time. When I thought I should just get married too, I met you, Barbara."
He explained casually. "What about Noah? What will happen to him?" I asked, recalling his earlier statement about not needing our son. William had always shown affection towards Noah, even if it was superficial. The thought of a man who boasted about being a hands-on dad on social media abandoning his own son seemed inconceivable. Yet, William nonchalantly replied,
"I think I can only love a child with the woman I love. Besides, Noah would be in the way when I marry her."
I was stunned. Not only did he say he didn't need his son, but he also considered Noah a hindrance to his new relationship. Did he ever truly feel like Noah's father? I was so overwhelmed that I couldn't find the words to respond. Seeing my silence, Betty, my mother-in-law, not even bothering to reprimand her son for his shameless declaration, harshly told me to leave the house within a week. I was in shock. Noah noticed my distress and asked if I was okay.
I'm not sure I am,
I admitted, hugging him as tears began to fall. Just then, my childhood friend Stefan called. Sensing my distress, he asked,
What happened? Why are you crying?
I broke down and told him everything about William's affair, his rejection of Noah, and Betty's ultimatum. Stefan murmured.
No, I am too late.
His voice carried a tone of regret and concern that only deepened my sense of despair. What did he mean by too late? I yearned to uncover the hidden meaning behind these words. Stefan then told me to visit a specific location, his sister Elizabeth's office. Elizabeth and I have been close since our childhood, akin to real sisters for me. Although our interactions had waned since I got married, if I ever needed to turn to someone, it would unquestionably be her and Stefan. So, with my son Noah, I headed to Elizabeth's. Upon arriving at her office, Elizabeth presented me with crucial evidence.
Barbara seemed genuinely happy, so neither Stefan nor I were worried initially.
She began, evoking memories of blissful days now distant. However, her tone soon grew somber.
But, about 6 months ago, Stefan saw Barbara's husband, William, leaving the office arm in arm with another woman.
Her words sent a chill through my heart.
Since then, we've been investigating them.
She continued, her voice heavy with reluctance. Initially, I had naively believed that when William said he had fallen for someone, it merely meant he fancied someone who had returned to America after a divorce, presuming there was no actual affair yet. But the truth was different. William was already in a relationship with that woman. Had I remained oblivious and accepted the divorce, he would have led a happy life with his mistress, leaving me without any compensation for his infidelity. Rage simmered within me. Moreover, I realized that Stefan's inquiry about William's company during the reunion was to confirm if the man he had seen was indeed my husband.
Thank you for the evidence. I can never forgive William,
I said, clutching the proofs as I brought them home. There, I found William's father, Richard. I had thought of Richard as an enemy since he was present at William's confession. But to my surprise, he apologized with a bowed head, saying,
I'm sorry.
Astonishingly, Richard was on my and my son Noah's side. He explained that he remained silent because, despite his pleas, William and his mother, Betty, continued the affair, and he felt powerless to stop it.
I started to suspect something a year ago. William would stay late at the office, claiming overtime. Though there wasn't much work, Betty would casually accept this and take me home, leaving William behind. Wondering what was happening, I decided to install a surveillance camera in the car a month ago. As a result, I found out that William was meeting his mistress, Ashley, in his office under the guise of working late.
Richard recounted. Ever since Stefan and Elizabeth informed me of William's affair, I suspected his late returns were due to secret meetings with Ashley. But I never imagined they were happening at his workplace. Betty, who sided with William and urged for a divorce, must have been an accomplice. Perhaps she thought Ashley, William's childhood friend, was more suitable for him, and thus aided William.
Feel free to use the footage from the surveillance camera as evidence. And don't just stay in this house for a week. Stay until you find a new place. I'm on your and my grandson's side,
Richard assured me, bringing tears to my eyes. Following that, things progressed swiftly. Richard confronted Betty and William.
Don't ever enter Barbara's house. You've done the lowest things to Barbara and Noah. It's too much to take away their home and then tell them to leave.
He ensured they couldn't bother us anymore. I blocked any contact from Betty and William for a while and methodically prepared for the alimony claim and the moving process. Facing the reality of becoming a single mother, I knew I had to find a job. However, Elizabeth, Stefan's sister, came forward with an unexpected offer.
Barbara, you have qualifications and you worked before marriage, right? I was thinking of hiring you after someone quit his job to move back to the countryside.
she said, extending a welcoming hand to me. With my job concerns alleviated, Richard, William's father, stepped in to help with the down payment for a new place to live.
I'm sorry I couldn't stop my wife and son from their actions. Let me pay for this,
he offered generously. On the day of the move, I visited William's family home for the first time in a long while and confronted William.
Today I'm leaving this house. But before I do, I'm going to demand alimony for your affair and a lump sum for Noah's child support.
William tried to escape the situation, exclaiming,
What? Affair? Are you accusing me of cheating just because I have someone I like?
I laid out the photographs on the table, revealing his daily weekday meetings with Ashley, his childhood friend. Seeing the evidence, William and Betty turned pale, realizing everything was out in the open.
You're such a liar. I don't want you calling yourself Noah's father anymore. And since I can't trust you to pay child support regularly, I want it in a lump sum,
I declared firmly. William protested.
Why? You think I can be trusted?
I shrugged in disbelief.
You're a liar who pretends to be involved in parenting on social media but doesn't lift a finger at home. You cheated while I was away and then lied about having a girlfriend to cover it up. How can I trust someone like you? It's impossible.
At a loss for words, William was speechless. Richard, standing beside him, sternly said,
You did have done something irreparable. The only thing you can do now is make amends.
Despite their unwilling faces, I firmly stated,
If you have something to say, communicate through my lawyer. I won't be taking any direct contact from you.
With that, I swiftly left the scene, ready to start anew. Afterwards, I also demanded alimony from William's mistress, Ashley. Apparently, she had been abandoned and divorced by her husband because she had been constantly in touch with William while neglecting her own family abroad. Ashley, seemingly influenced by William and Betty's instructions, absurdly claimed,
We haven't even confessed to each other yet. It's free to fall in love, isn't it? I've done no cheating.
However, I silenced her with photographic and video evidence. Her parents ended up paying her alimony, and William handed over all his savings to me. Reflecting on it, William managed our finances, and the significant savings were likely because he spent little on Noah and me, saving instead for a future marriage with Ashley. Seeing through his intentions, I developed a visceral repulsion towards him. Previously admired by friends and relatives, William's true nature was exposed through the divorce and child custody abandonment, leading to estrangement. Richard, upon confirming that William had paid the alimony and child support, closed his business, handed divorce papers to Betty, and sold their house. Betty and William, now ousted from their home, have reportedly moved into Ashley's parents' house, where they are unwelcome. It seems inevitable that Ashley will also be cast out soon, penniless. As for me, I now live a peaceful life in a condo with Noah. Occasionally, Stefan and Elizabeth kindly take care of Noah, which has been a great help. Noah has grown fond of them, recently remarking with a smile,
They feel more like family than Dad ever did.